Hi there again, and welcome to video 7. This time we're going to cover the subject of playing two-handed arpeggios or tapping arpeggios or whatever name you want to give it. It doesn't really matter. But before we start to dive into the exercises, do we need to know a little bit about what an arpeggio is and where they come from? We have talked about this a little bit before. But playing arpeggios is basically just playing the notes of a chord one after each other. So this, for example, is playing an E minor arpeggio, but arpeggiated chord. This is playing an E minor arpeggio. This is also playing an E minor arpeggio. So basically, playing the notes of a chord one after each other. That is playing an arpeggio. So then we need to have at least a basic understanding of where the chords come from, so we can start building our own arpeggios. And basically, chords are stacking thirds from a scale we're building the chords from. And that might sound confusing, but I will try to explain. Let's take C major scale. It looks like this. It's the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And here is worth noticing that the C is the same note, right? But it's an octave higher. And that means that if we would continue in the scale, the second note will be the same as the ninth. And then if we would continue the scale even more, the third is the same as the 10. But you never really use that note name. And then the fourth is the same as the 11th. And what to call it, it's really coming from what octave it's in. But it's not super important. Second or 9, same note. Anyway, and then to get the chords out of this scale shape, we stack thirds. And that is basically just count from the first note and go 3 notes up. So we start at C, C, D, E. 1, 2, 3. So the third note of a C major scale is E. And then we have C and E. And that is 2 whole steps away from each other. And that means that it's a major third. So now we know the first chord of the C major scale will be a major chord. And then we take another third from the E. We go 1, 2, 3. And then we have the G. If we start from C to the G, it's a fifth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then we have the chord, the triad C major. So we have C, E, G, a major triad. We can put the notes like this. It doesn't matter what order you put them in, it will be a C major triad anyway. So then, let's continue this. If we start on the G again, and then we go 3 from there. 1, 2, 3. We get the note B. And the note B, in relation to the C, is the 7th. If you are unsure about this, you can always count backwards. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now we know B is the 7th, the major 7th of the C. And then the major 7 arpeggio would be. And then we can continue stacking thirds from the B. So let's start on the B and count 3. 1, 2, 3. We get the note D. And if we are insecure about what that note is in relation to the C, we can count down like we did before. So we go 1, 2, and then we are at C. So D are a second, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the D up here is a ninth in relation to the C. If we would use the D here, is the second. So second or 9 is the same thing. And since we're gonna toss all the notes around all the time, it doesn't really matter. So let's call it a 9 all the time. Okay, so we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 1. There we have a C major 9 arpeggio. So just one other example, if we would start to build a chord from the second note of the C major scale, you just do the same. You just count the notes from the D. The second note of C major is the D, and then you go 1, 2, 3. So the first note, the third note, I should say, of a D chord is F. If we put that F on the same string as the D, we notice that it's just one whole step and one half step, and that indicates that it's a minor third. And then we continue from that, F, 1, 2, 3, we get the note A. So then we know that the second chord in C major is a D minor chord. Are you following me? 2 whole steps, major, 1 whole step and 1 half step, minor. That is basically how you build chords. I really, really recommend you to look into this subject more, of how to harmonizing scales to get the chords from it. And then one last thing before we dive into the exercises. The order in which you place the notes makes a huge difference on how it sounds, even if the harmonic information is the same. Let me try to illustrate that. We take the first chord that we worked out, the C major 7. It sounds like this. That's one way to play that C major 7 chord. Here's another one. It sounds radically different, right? But it's the same harmonic information. Here's another way of doing it. Also sound radically different, but still the same harmonic information. And we're gonna use this information about tossing the notes around when we start to building arpeggios. For 2 reasons: change the sound of the line we're gonna play, and also sometimes find a closer note so we don't have to have extremely long fingers. Anyway, we're gonna zoom in closer, 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 and start working on the exercises. Okay, exercise 1. Now we're gonna start building tapping arpeggios basically. And to start off, we're gonna use the notes of an E minor triad, E minor triad. And the notes for that is E, G, and B. And then to make that into tapping, we just place those notes on either 1 or 2 or 3 or how many strings we ever want to use. But for this exercise, exercise 1A, we're gonna put them in the most basic position. So we have 1, the E, 3, the G, 5, the B. And then we just put that in to any form of tapping idea. Or okay, exercise 1. We're going to use the notes of an E minor triad to start with, and those notes are E, G, and B. So they're 1 minor third and a perfect 5th. And then we're going to put those notes on one string and turn it into a tapping line. So exercise 1A is... That's one way to play it, and you can of course also make many other ways to play it. For example, I'll turn that around. So whatever order you put the notes in, it's still going to be the same harmonic information. So then let's try to add a seventh to this tapping idea. The seventh note of the E minor chord is the note D. So we're going to try to add that into what we just did. We had this. Where did we easiest find the D? We have one there. But the one I written out are like this. We take this D. So we start 7, 1, 3, 5. And then we play. But we can also play it like this. It's the same notes, but in a different order. And as we talked about in one of the earlier videos, try changing what notes you start on, and try changing the rhythm, and try changing the position of the notes. The next triad to add to that 7th chord would be the 9, right? And the 9th of E is the note F sharp. So then we're going to add that in here somehow. And the 9th or 2nd is here, the F sharp. So we have... And then the stretch starts to get right along. So then we're going to use the trick that we talked about last time of adding an extra tapping finger. And then we get... So there we have it, an E minor 9 arpeggio. Next thing, just to understand the concept a little more, we're going to change the minor 7 into a E major 7 arpeggio. And the notes we got to change are the minor 7 up to a major 7. So we raise the D up to D sharp. And then the minor 3rd, G, we raise that up to the major 3rd, which is G sharp. And then we get these notes. If you keep on stacking thirds from 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, you get a 9th chord. But then if you want to add the 9th note, but you don't want the 7th in there, you get a chord called add 9 arpeggio. And I'm just going to show that a little quick. And I would probably call this E major add 2. But 2 and 9 are the same notes, so it's just the octave. But here we get the F sharp again. So we have E, F sharp, the major 3rd, G sharp, and the 5th D. And we get... That would be an add 9. And the 9 is there, the F sharp. And this would be an add 2. So far, I have played all the arpeggios on one string and in one octave. Now we're gonna place them out on more strings and get different patterns from it. So now we're gonna try to place an A major chord out on more strings than just one. So we're gonna use two different shapes. We're gonna use this one. And then this one. Our fretting hand is going to play this shape. And our tapping hand is going to play this shape. And then we just add them in a triplet sort of 3 notes down, 1 up, 3 notes down sort of pattern. We get this. So really slow. Sorry. And then we can of course make that same arpeggio minor instead. And to make it minor, we know that the third is the C sharp in this case, and then we know we lower that a half step to a C. And then we get so major, minor, and as we did with the one string versions, adding more notes to make it an add 9 or a 9 or a 7, we can of course do the same to the pattern we just did. And to just spice it up a little, we're going to change the pattern midways. So we start exactly the same. What we're going to do is an A add 9 arpeggio. E minor add 9, And the 9th or 2nd to that is the note B. So the pattern we did, we're going to add a B note in it. So we're going to start, look at the tab again. We're going to start exactly the same. So far are the same. And then there are the B note we want to add. And to make it rhythmically fitting, we're going to do a 2 note per string or 2 finger tap on the same string there. We're going to do B, C, B. So we go. And then we pull back to the A, add the E, add the C. We go. So far. And then we're going to do a changing string with tap. So we take the E on the 14th fret on the D string, and then the A on the 14th fret of the G string, like that. So we go like that, sorry. And from there we're gonna do a little legato ending. So you can see we pull that off to E, C, B, G sharp, A. And that G sharp is from the A harmonic minor scale. So the whole line, really slow, is like this. One more time. One more time. And maybe a little faster. So next exercise, we'll be doing the down-going pattern that we did, that one. But in an up-going pattern. And we're going to use this a C major chord for that. So the basic shape we're going to do is this. And then we're just going to add 2 more octaves to that. And then we get... like that. There are a bunch of hammer-on from nowhere in this line that can be tricky to get, but just work on it and you will get there. So that one where you jump down to that E, and then you jump down to that E. Like that. And then, of course, if you want to, anything major you can make minor. And the major third of the C is the E. So we just lower that a half step to E flat. And then we get... So next exercise, we're gonna try to add the seventh, the major seventh, to that C shape that we just did. And the seventh note is the B. And then we get... like that. And then we're gonna put that into a pattern. And the pattern we're gonna use is this. And if we put that in 3 octaves, we get this. And if you want to, you can of course play every octave more than one time and get a longer line. For example, like this. Now we're gonna try to put that shape that we just did. They're both down and up going. That one, we're gonna try to put that in a little chord progression where we go A minor to G major to F major and G major again. And that together will be something like this. And that, really, really slow, is something like this. And a little more speed, that would be... Notice here that I play the first note with my second tapping finger to make it easier to go to the second note. For the next exercise, we're going to try to play a couple of different shapes of major add 9 arpeggios. And we're gonna start with A major add 9 to a D major add 9. And the shape we're gonna use are the same for both chords. And that is like this. That is the shape. And then we add a D to that. That will be the exact same shape, but just one string higher. If we put those two together real slow, we get something like this. And a little faster that would be. And, as always, you can change in what order you place the note. So instead of starting on the tapping note, so we start on the A and then the D, and then we get... And it sounds different. So try to turn it around, try to play it backwards. Starting on the high notes instead of the low ones. and just play around with it. The next exercise will be yet another add 9 arpeggio thing, but we're gonna combine 2 different patterns and over a different chord progression, that is A major to B major. And just to spice it up a little bit, the first 3 bars of this is in 4/4, and then the last bar is in 5/4. So we're gonna add an extra beat to that one. And the new pattern we gotta add is this. So we start on the 14th fret with a tap, and we pull that off to 7, hammer on to 9, and this is on the D string. And then we jump up to the G string, and we do 14 with the tap, 6, 9. So we have, and then we jump up to the high E string with 12, 5, 9, 12, 9, 5. So we get, and then we're gonna add the exact same shape that we had before, just on another place on the neck, and that would be, putting those 2 together will be, and then we're gonna jump and do the exact same thing in B, which will be the exact same pattern, just a whole step higher up. And then we get, oh sorry, and then we're gonna add 1 more beat here, and the notes we're gonna play for that is those. Let's put those 2 together, and that will be, like that. And really slow, that is, and then the extra beat. And the last exercise we did here will come back again in the next video, where you will get to learn an entire song that is specially written for this tapping series. But there it will be with a little more variations and a little faster. Until then, see ya.